So you've said that smell is a marker of authenticity, and I've heard this connection between smell and authenticity a lot. So I wanted to know, why do you think olfactory perception is an important part of an authentic experience?
Yeah, I think this is mainly in this context I'm using it. This is mainly um, contrasting the authentic experience against the virtual or digital experience on a screen, on the phone, the computer, the TV. And so, at least I spend much of my life in front of screens and probably see more people on a screen than I see in the real world. And so these two lives are being lived in parallel, but one is more authentic than the other. And one marker that can tell us which one is more authentic is smell, just as touch and taste, because they can't be digitized and replicated and duplicated and spread across the world as easily or at all. Whereas visual and auditory stimuli can be very easily digitized and distributed. So whenever you're feeling a touch or tasting something or smelling something, you know that you're in the real world. You're not in the virtual world. And so that's what helps you, keeping sane and knowing if you're in the real world or the virtual world. And it's a marker of authenticity. You have to be there. I have seen pictures of things very far away, happening very far away at very different times when I wasn't even alive. But all the smells I smelled were smells in the moment while I was where the smell is too. So that's what I mean by this claim for authenticity through smell perception.
Yeah, and it's not just authenticity, right? It's also about this feeling of being closer to the to what you're perceiving. So I've seen that as like a curatorial method, where you use smell to increase people's connection with what they're viewing. So like for my master thesis research, I worked with a woman who tried to use smell to help people feel closer to an indigenous community, so that they could really connect with this, not just by seeing pictures of deforestation, but actually smelling that process of what happens when you cut down a forest. It's a very different experience. So I also like that aspect of saying that smell is a part of authenticity. It's just, it really brings you there and wakes you up a little bit.
Yes, it is a more like vision is a distant sense. You can look at things from a distance without being involved with them. You usually can only smell things that you are involved with in a bodily way, and you become part of whatever the scene is, the smell is being involved. I had an artist in the gallery, Louisa Gottschalk. She made scented paintings. And so you had to come up to the painting and touch it to release the smell. And her main reason to do that was that she didn't want people to stand far away and look at these paintings, but wanted them to come really, really close and be really, like have the entire visual field covered by the painting. And the behavioral trick to make that is to force people, if they want to fully experience it, to come very close to it and to touch it and then to smell it, and thereby becoming more immersed in what she was trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I think that olfactory art, I had never experienced it before I visited your gallery. I had, oh, I mean, I've smelled in a museum space before, but this was very different because you're really, it's a really kind of intimate experience with an artwork that you're not used to. You're engaging with it in a very different way. You're putting your nose up to it. It's yeah, it's coming into your space, which is very different. I think than when you're using other forms of smell curation, where it's this very active introduction of smell. This was more like, yeah, just, yeah, it's just more intimate somehow. I don't know how to explain it, but it's very different than other ways that you engage with smell in the museum, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to, like, from a curatorial standpoint, I like to put focus on how smelling is an embodied sense, and you have to like do something for it. You have to like bend down to smell it, or take it in your hand and move it towards your nose, or even just open a bottle and smell it. So there, I always like to have to be some activity, some work that the viewer has to do to be able to fully experience the work. So it becomes more part of an interactive experience than a passive, just like swishing by in front of your eyes.
Yeah. So going back to authenticity, I found this topic a bit interesting because while working on Odoropa, we often create like historically informed smells for museums, and work with a lot of visitors in museums as well. And people who hear about our project and attend our events often say like that they want to know if the smell is as authentic as what they would have smelled in the past. So I wanted to ask, what do you think about this? Do you think that we can create meaningful connections to the past through like historical smell interpretations? Do you have an opinion on this?
Yes, I think so. I mean, it's always, I'm a biologist by training. So what comes to my mind here is the reconstruction of dinosaurs. Nobody knows what the dinosaur actually looked like because all we have is the bones. But scientists can make educated guesses about what a dinosaur would look like, and then have drawings or models of that and present it to people. And if you want to be a skeptic about it, you can always doubt that. And science sometimes changes their mind about and corrects itself. And there is no absolute truth to it. And the same is true for historical odor recreations. You can do research trying to find out what it smells like. When you're lucky, maybe you have some first person reports about how it smells like, but you can't be entirely sure that you get it right. But I don't think that's a problem. That is just, part of trying to bring the past back to be experienced, is that the past is gone and whatever you bring back is just your best approximation to it. But I still think it's an important project. I always think of going to, I don't remember where it was, but some medieval castle like building, and it smelled like lemon cleaning agent because they just cleaned the bathroom or something, and that completely destroys any illusion of being immersed in any medieval castle, because everything looks presumably like it looked hundreds of years ago, but it smells like lemon toilet cleaner, which it wouldn't have smelled like back then. Right, so that's an easy fix. And then any smell that you approximate or guess that it would have smelled like back then would be much, much better and much more helpful to like make this closeness and connectedness and this feeling of immersion that you're trying to accomplish in these contexts.
Yeah, that's a good point about when these sort of modern smells enter a historic space and just distort our perception of the space completely, because it is very commonly the bathroom, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And it destroys the entire illusion.
Yeah, the experience.